So, welcome to the Systems Rescue Power Hour, where we build a business that can run without you. This week, first of all, I'm just going to tell you, I'm so glad that you're here. Whether you're watching the replay or you're here live, we are so glad to be providing this service and having you join us with your questions. And so today we're talking about email sequences that build trust and response. This is such an important topic because a lot of people send emails, but they do not always send them in a way that helps the relationship grow. They either send too few, too randomly, or too aggressively. And we've all been on the receiving end of that, haven't we? In all of those cases, the result is usually the same. People do not feel connected enough to respond. So today, let's talk about how email sequences can help you build trust over time and create a better response from people that you want to reach. And throughout this training, if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I need a whole lot more of this, I need someone to just take my hand and walk me through this. Well, we've got you covered because you can join my Automation Nation with the link in the chat. I'm going to put the link in there. You'll get hands-on group training with me, your funnel godmother, and I host office hours every week, so you don't have to wait a long time to get some attention. And for those listening to the replay, that link is bit.ly. So it's B as in boy, bit.ly/join Automation Nation. And each one of those words has a capital letter. So the whole thing together is bit.ly/join Automation Nation. And that all of those letters are capital, only the first letter of each word. All right, here we go. Jumping into the training. An email sequence is not just a series of messages. It is a path that you are laying out for your prospective client or your current client. It's a way of guiding someone from one step to the next while helping them feel informed and seen and supported. That means your emails are not just there to sell. Okay, they are there to introduce, educate, reassure, nurture, and greatly improve their lives and gently move people forward. When a sequence is done well, it feels helpful instead of pushy. So I've got some steps for you to follow today to help you build an email sequence that's going to do just that. So step one, decide what you want the sequence to help people do. Before you write anything, ask these questions. What is the sequence for? What should someone understand after reading it? What should they feel? And what should they do next? So we're going to dive into all that in the next steps. When you know the purpose of the email sequence, then it becomes much easier to shape and write into a useful process. All right, step two, build trust before you ask for action. Warm people up first. This is one of the biggest mistakes most people make in email. If you ask for too much too soon, people may not respond. So the sequence should start by building trust. Show up consistently, always give value, meaning when we say give value or share value, that means teach them something. Give them a tip that's going to help them be more efficient. Or that's when we mean share value. Teach them something, acknowledge their pain. Explain something helpful to them that's going to help them. It's all about them, not about you. And make the next step feel safe. Explain what happens in the next step and what their path will be forward. It's like putting rocks in a river. You can't jump over the river, but you can step on this rock, step on this rock, step on that rock, and then you're on the other side. And that's how they feel when you give them that path forward. People really respond more when they feel understood. Step 3, keep the messages connected to each other. Each one can stand alone, but then they can be connected, just like these trainings. Every week we do a training with you, and every week it stands alone by itself. However, they build on each other. For example, last week we taught about email marketing basics, and now this week we're talking about how to send the correct kind of sequences in email. So we're building on it as well. So make the sequence feel like one conversation. Even though they're separate emails, it can be one conversation as they read each one. Each email should support the next. You do not want random messages that feel disconnected. You want them to flow. So one idea leads into the next, one message builds on the last, and the reader feels guided instead of overwhelmed or machine gun fired information at them. That kind of structure helps trust grow naturally. Step 4, speak to the pain and the relief. Be honest about what people are struggling with. This matters because people often respond when they feel seen. When they read that email and they feel like, oh my gosh, she's in my office, she's in my head, like she sees me in my struggle, in my business. That's what you want them to feel like. So if your audience is frustrated, confused, overwhelmed, or stuck, acknowledge it clearly and kindly, and then show them what relief or support can look like. That balance builds connection. Step 5, keep the tone human. Write like a real person. When I write emails or messages of any kind, I pretend that I'm talking to one person. They're in my office. And if you're talking to someone, especially about their pain or a solution to their pain, and they were right there with you over a cup of hot tea, you might lean in with your body, right? And tip your head a little and say what it is that you feel that you want to say. Do that when you're writing the email. If you feel like you really want to stay connected and write like a human and really connect with them, go ahead and do the body language that you would do if you were with them. The best email sequences are they feel warm and clear and conversational. You do not need to sound overly polished. So, for example, if you say in real life words like gonna, I'm gonna, you can put that in your email. If you are really relaxed and you say, hey, listen, I was thinking about you today, and you can put emojis in there. You just say what you would say if you happen to maybe see them at the mall. If you were crossing paths and you would say, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. Say that in your email, whatever it is that feels natural for you. And I say, if you are very kind of maybe sarcastic humor in real life, then use that in your emails. If you're more formal and buttoned up and you say hello instead of hi, and this is your formal way of speaking, then use that in your emails because people know that's the real you. So remember, you don't have to sound overly polished. You need to sound believable, helpful, kind, easy to trust. Step 6, include a clear next step in every email. This is not buy something from me, okay? But we're going to talk about what the next step might look like. And you just tell them what to do. It would seem logical to us as we're writing these emails that they're going to know what to do next, but you have to tell them. And they generally will, if they trust you and know you and like you, they will do what you tell them to do. So for example, if you want a response, the next step should be obvious. Reply, or book a call, or click this link, or words like read more, which is going to let them click something to read a full article or something that you only alluded to in the email, or simply stay connected. Those are some calls to action, things you can tell them to do. Follow us on Facebook, and you can put that link in there. There's a lot of different things you can ask them to do in the email that'll demonstrate that they are engaging with you and they want more of what you're giving them. And it's not always buy something from me. People are more likely to act when you make it very easy for them. So tell them what to do. Step 7, space the emails well. Give people time to process what you just told them. They will carry it with them and they'll think about it. And things in their life will trigger a memory that how they reacted or how they felt when they read that email from you. So let them give some breathing room in between your emails. A sequence should not feel like a flood. The spacing matters because people need room to read and think and respond. So that helps the sequence feel supportive instead of overwhelming. Step 8, review what gets results. You saw us say this last week and many, many times in the past weeks. Always look at the metrics, look at the reporting, look at the statistics, and see what is getting results. See what people are reacting to. Pay attention to which emails get responses. And another word that you'll hear people say is engagement. All of those things. They're clicking. Well, first they're opening. They're clicking. They're replying. They are sharing your email. They are moving you from maybe the promotions folder into the spam, into the inbox, or the spam folder into the inbox. Those are ways that you know that you are getting engagement from your people. So over time, you want to notice which subject lines get opened. That is so important, as you can imagine. If that subject line does not grab me, I'm not going to open the email. Why would I? So that if you can put, I've been to some training and they've said, put 80% of your effort, time, attention into the subject line and only 20% into what's you're putting in the email. Because they're never going to see what you put in the email if that subject line doesn't get their attention. So, which messages get replies? Which ones lead to clicks or bookings? And where people start to disengage. So you want to watch all those. And those statistics are inside your CRM if you have a robust one like we use. David and I both use Go High Level. We teach it, we use it. We have customers that have it, and you can track all of those things in a system like that. And so it's very important, because otherwise you're just guessing at what's going to work. You're saying, well, I don't know really what they want. And so you just keep trying different things, and it feels so frustrating to do that. So watch your statistics and your analytics. That data helps you make the sequence even better. And by the way, once you write an email sequence, it is not cut in stone. You can go back in and tweak it and change it once you figure out, oh, people seem to like it. Let's say when I ask a question in my subject line, those are the emails that get opened the most. So you may go back into your sequence and change a few of your other emails that could be easily turned into a question, right? That's something you could do. If especially if something like you have some kind of, you say follow us on Facebook, and for some reason your Facebook link changes, you have to go in there and change that, right? So you can change your sequence after you build it. So a lot of people feel like once it's built, then they're stuck with it, but you're definitely not. So if your emails have not been getting the response that you want, I want you to know that it may be that the email, that's just a simple tweak or a few simple tweaks to get it going again. It may be that the sequence needs more trust building and better flow. It may be that you're asking too much, too early, too fast of people to buy something or even book an appointment. You may want to warm them up into that appointment. Start by thinking about the journey that they are on, mentally and emotional journey into working with you or buying something from you. Keep the messages connected so one can connect into the next. And always write like a human, just exactly how you would if you had them sitting right across from you in the room. And include a clear next step, and space the emails well. Traditional advice and current advice is about a week apart. And I would say sooner only if you have a really good reason. Some industries and some businesses do have a really good reason to go faster than a week apart. However, a month apart or once a quarter is really going to not just not be effective for you, it's going to actually be detrimental for you. And we can explain all about that in another segment. And then remember to always review what gets results. This is how email sequences become a real relationship building tool instead of just a bunch of messages in somebody's inbox. Something I didn't mention earlier, but storytelling is wonderful in emails. And if you have a story from your childhood, or especially a story, I like to tell stories from my childhood, but they tell you how I got the values that I have today and why I operate my business the way I do with integrity. But that story came from something that my dad did or my mom said, as a child. So I tell that story. And that's one of the examples. You can let that go into a second email or a third email, and they'll be eagerly waiting for the rest of that story in that sequence. So that's how it becomes a relationship building tool instead of just a flood of information from you. So that concludes the training for today. And I am so thankful for you to be here. And just remember, you do not need louder emails. What you need is more trust. And that is what we're building together. So now we're going to start. And now I always love it when if David can expound on anything I said, because he and we think a lot alike, but he's always has great value. So David, is there anything that you can add or expound on with that training?
I have some really good golden nuggets for you today. So, and this is very much top of mind for me because I'm literally going through this process right now in my own business to adopt this into my marketing. And I think this is very timely because you're talking about, the email sequences and how you write it, and you even mentioned stories. Well, I think what's really important that I think every business should be doing is using what's called the story brand framework. So has anyone here actually heard about the story brand framework before?
I love it. Love it. Yes, everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've read the book and I even went on their AI page. I I didn't finish it up because I have a lot of other projects right now. Um, it, I've been on two of these. I'm still trying to figure out the relationship between Rita and you, David. And I haven't eaten yet, and I need to go grab a bite. Um, but is there some kind of a relationship between? I know you're usually here, or at least when I'm here, I see you and Rita talks and you talk, and it's like in my mind, it's like, well, that's very interesting, and it seems very structured. But I haven't figured out. I haven't seen a written agenda anywhere that describes to me what's going on. And I'm autistic, so I'm just always trying to figure things out. And it's like what Rita said about in the emails and the structure of the emails, and tell the people what the next thing to do is and tell them why you want them to do that and all of that. I would love it if somebody would explain that a little bit. Now, I got a little bit from Rita just now that she does the first teaching pretty much between 9 and 9:15, 9:20. And then she calls on you. At least that's what she's done 2 times in a row. But
Yeah.
but
So I'll tell you, Linda, I started this by myself, and I certainly am capable of doing the teaching and answering the questions. However, I know from all my years in business, people always will ask me questions that are outside of my zone of genius. And I have invited some experts, and you'll see some other different experts coming on this broadcast in the future. And David is an IT expert, IT in general, and cybersecurity. And David, I know you do more things than that, but he can answer questions that I can't answer. Plus, he has a Go High Level agency. I have a Go High Level agency, and with our two experiences, we have different ways of looking at the same thing. But David, tell everyone more about the things that you do that are aligned with what I do and different from what I do.
Sure. So I'll start with that, and then don't let me forget to go back to what I have my golden nuggets today, because I definitely want y'all to hear that. But let me start with kind of how I'm aligned with Rita. So Rita already touched on the Go High Level piece. So I've been a Go High Level user myself for over 4.5 years at this point. So I've been on it so long, I've seen some massive changes on the platform from what it used to be and where it's going. I've also been involved with another Go High Level agency supporting the agency side as well. So I'm also helping Rita learn some of the intricacies of the agency piece so she can build an extremely effective agency to support multiple users. And then I'll also be supporting some things from a technical aspect there as well. Probably the biggest differentiator of kind of where I do things that are different, as Rita mentioned, is a lot of the IT and cybersecurity pieces. So obviously there's some overlap there in terms of pieces within any CRM platform that's going to require an IT person to be able to, take care of those specific configurations as it then ties into email security and the like. But outside of that, in general, my core business is providing managed IT services for businesses. So essentially, from a very high level, we become our client's own internal IT department. There's other flavors of how we can offer services, but that's our core model. So we can do things from, having, that day-to-day help desk resource available for end user support. We're proactively monitoring systems to make sure they're secure, getting updates, obviously having all the cybersecurity protections, email security, taking care of the network. We also offer compliance services for businesses in specific industries that need it, or even any business that wants to just conform to some standard to make sure they're getting all the security boxes checked that they need to have implemented. So there's a whole gamut of stuff, in between and even beyond that, we can help with. It just depends on, what a business needs, and we will definitely find a way to make it happen. So any other questions on that before I go back to the golden nuggets?
I would like to have a little review on the story brand framework.
Okay.
If that was part of your plan.
Yeah, I'll definitely touch on that because actually I have a resource I'd be more than happy to share, but let me kind of conceptually explain, what at least what I'm going through that I find to be very helpful for getting any marketing content produced, which would include writing these email sequences. So when it comes to story brand framework at a high level, and I'm not claiming to be an expert in anything, this is just me going through it and knowing what I got to do for my business. Your customer or client needs to be positioned as the hero, and you're the one supporting them, obviously.
And I'm the guide. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And so to that point, you need to know who you're writing to. So how can you even craft your email copy if you don't know who your avatar is? And so the other question is, do you have a specific industry, or do you have multiple industries? And if you got multiple industries, are you going to do content to each specific industry individually, or are you going to have a master brand script that can speak in general to your overall audience? So those, I think, are some key pieces that will help you craft your content. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going through and redoing a lot of mine. And I'm going to show you some stuff I've worked on utilizing the brand script as it relates to what Rita talked about today. And then at the end, I will share a custom GPT on ChatGPT that you can use to help do this. And I will teach you how to kind of modify it because it's really was written specifically for my industry. But I can show you, I can give you a one-liner that'll take it out of that and then just follow the general story brand framework.
Thank you.
So let me share my screen because I want to point out a few things in the CRM side. And Rita, I know you were talking about like kind of email sequences, but really there's, I guess, if you think about it, there's really two types you can do. And I know we've touched on it before. There's one, which is kind of like your general, what they call a campaign or a broadcast email, like a newsletter style, but then you have those that are within automations. But regardless of what you send, how you would go about initially crafting them is pretty much the same. So I'm going to start with kind of the most recent example I've been doing, which is a sequence based on a marketing campaign I'm getting ready to go out and do, which the goal is to, initially get people to take advantage of a free resource so they get in my system so I can continue to market to them even if they're not ready to have a direct conversation with me. So this is an example of one of the landing pages I just built this week for one of the resources. And right now I'm specifically focused on the healthcare industry. So I've used my healthcare avatar and brand script to craft all the content. So it's speaking directly to, in this case, specifically the practice manager avatar. So even within your industry, you need to know, okay, who is the actual person there? So I know in my case, the decision maker is typically the practice admin for what I'm wanting to offer. And so that's who everything's crafted towards. But also what I've done, because I know depending on the situation, it may not necessarily be that person, but it could be the physician owner. So I actually have a secondary avatar that we kind of keep in mind as we're crafting information as well, because in some sense, if it's them, they could still be filling kind of that practice administrator role. And so everything is written, to answer, their main concerns that you get when you go through this GPT to help craft your avatar. And so everything's written for that. And what I want to then kind of show is, okay, so now that they've filled that out, how are we going to kind of do some initial nurturing of them? So I actually have a follow-up sequence specific to this resource. And let me know if this is too small or not readable. I can zoom it in. Rita, you're muted.
Yeah, it's pretty small if you could zoom it in.
Is that better? Rita, is that better?
Yeah. Can you zoom one more time? Yeah,
That's better.
good.
Okay. So I'm not necessarily going to get into the mechanics of how the automation works, but really just wanted to highlight that pretty much the initial email they're going to get is this first email, which I know this is going to be probably a little smaller here on this side to see. But I'm doing these as pretty much just like a plain text email where, this is going to be the initial download email. So it's going to go back to the download page where they have a link to download it. I've also put the resource as a flip book. And then there's actually a booking calendar if they want to book a review call after they work through this checklist that I've created for them. And this is essentially just going to, be an initial explanation outlining, what the checklist is designed to do, kind of what for them to keep in mind as they, work through it. If they can't confidently answer everything, telling them that's okay. Basically telling them there's no right or wrong answer. And then again, giving them the ability to access the checklist. And then, of course, part of my thing I always do now is,
David, before
yes.
you get off that email, I wanted to show everybody in this particular CRM and in many CRMs, when someone clicks one of those links inside your email, you can track that and you can put a tag on them. So that portion of those instructions is just further down on the page. And this is absolute gold for tracking. Again, remember, we said keep track of what works. So if you don't know that someone's clicking on a link, then you can't track it. And if you have 3 links in your email and you don't know which one they click, but they clicked something, that's not as helpful. So in that third option down there, it says add tags. You can tell it when they click this link, add this tag to the person. When they click this link, add this tag. So you can really keep track of who's clicking on what links in your email. Thank you, David.
Well, and then what I actually do is these links, I make what's called you actually use a trigger link. So it'll actually log right on the contact record itself in the activities column, what they click and, excuse me. And actually in this case, these are the exact same link in this particular email. And so, and Rita, I know you were talking about depending on what you're doing, it may be like a week or a month. Because this is a follow-up sequence, obviously these emails are going to go out a little more frequently. But, we're going to be doing a check to see should they still be getting the email, because either if they've asked to stop getting the emails, we'll remove a tag we've assigned them, or if they've already booked, the follow-up appointment that we're trying to get them to do, we'll then also take off that tag so they stop getting these follow-up emails. And then from there, once they booked, then the booking sequence will take over. But already they're now in our newsletter list, so they're going to be on our long-term nurture sequence, which is all of our regular newsletters that go out.
I have to tell you that this just overwhelms me.
Yes.
So the point is not to overwhelm. That's why I'm not trying to focus as much on the automation, but more so the email piece itself.
The why behind it. Thank you.
But again, that's why Rita's here and I'm here. So again, you have resources that if you want to get something done, you're not on your own. You have an avenue.
Yeah. And we do get excited and we dig down sometimes. But the most important message of all of these trainings is this is what's available to you, and you have the power in your hands. You do not have to do it all alone.
Right.
But we want to show you what you can do and why, and then and then try not to overwhelm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
But so I'm going to leave that one be, because I just wanted to point out that that's kind of the one thing that Rita talked about. The other here is more, as I mentioned, like the newsletters where you're just sending out, again, and I know this on this one over here, these emails are all related. They sort of build on the prior email based on the action that was originally taken, which is when they filled out a form to download this checklist resource. But then you have kind of your other, you can call it a sequence, but these are truly independently contained emails, which is your newsletters, which they may have a central theme every month or a central format that they follow. It's like, for example, if I open this cybersecurity newsletter I sent, I just want to show you just to look at the more so the layout than anything else. So I've got these preset sections where I just customize certain pieces of content from the template that I have. Then I have the initial 6 cybersecurity articles I want to share, and then some business and technology insights. And then the most recent one that was just sent, about 5 days ago, if I preview this one, you'll see again, it's the exact same format. It's just some of the content has changed for, what's the most recent information we want to share. So this is another way how you can have consistency by it's the same format, but it's just the content within it is just changing every time in the various sections. And then there are some pieces in here that are just static every time, kind of like my call to action box. So that's just something else I want to point out as kind of another example of a way you can kind of do the emails. And of course, there's many more ways that you can do these. These are just some of the ways that I've adopted for my business.
And David, before you get off the screen, show them the safeguard that you have for unsubscribing and why you put it where you do.
Oh, yeah, let me start at the top. So I always put a message here at the top, and I always put it in red to catch people's attention that if they no longer want to receive this, they can click unsubscribe, and I tell them it's at the bottom of this page or the email.
Okay.
I tell them why marking spam may prevent others from getting this information. So then they can scroll to the bottom of the email, And then down here in this section, I have a link where they can get off this particular list, or they can just get off all my newsletters. Now, just if they hit this all the newsletters, that I did it purposely this way so I can still email them other things if I need to. Like if they book on my calendar. So I remove what I call the nuclear option, which is basically turns on the do not disturb for email feature in this CRM. But I do still make that available. So if they go to the remove from newsletters page, there's another link on that page that, you know, they could click on. And most of my forms are now made it where you got to enter your email address, because if you just make it and I realized I did it the other way on my sequence I just showed you, where if you just make it a link they click and it automatically takes an action, because some email security systems will, you know, essentially auto detonate, as I say, a link to make sure it's safe. And that's why sometimes you want to avoid doing things that will automatically take an action, because if you don't want someone to unintentionally be unsubscribed from an email security system, you'll want to change how that works. So that's the reason that's set the way it is.
I
Thank
like
you.
the
That's such good advice.
the reliability of your format.
Yeah.
As a reader, it's familiar from one newsletter to the next, even though the content is fresh. And thank you for pointing out about the unsubscribe choices.
You're welcome. And so the way I've done this is, you know, I've pre-built a template. Oh, and I'm ready to do a new one. I just invoke the template essentially, and then just fill in the various pieces that have placeholder content.
Yeah.
And if you want, I can just show you what the template looks like, just so you can kind of see how everything starts. And again, this is a template that I've built. And so when you do your own, you can build your own template, or we can help you build a template. So everything, all you have to do is just change the placeholder content.
When you say the placeholder content, what does that mean? I'm
I'm
sorry.
about to show you as soon as this page loads.
Because what happens with me as I'm listening, I'll go to my second computer and I'll ask chat. Somebody just spoke about placeholder content. What does that mean? What, you know, it's kind of like, then the other thing that I'm noticing personally, see, I'm not trying to build a business that makes much money at all. I'm trying to build a business where I could attract maybe from 3 to 5 customers that I would work with. And so I'm really looking for a particular tribe, my particular tribe, to like work with me maybe the next 20 years, 10, 20 years of my life, and that's it. I don't want a business I'm going to sell or any of that stuff.
I got you. Well, let me give you a good analogy, because this is taking a lot longer to load than it should. So think about when you go to a wedding and they give you like your name card, or they may already have some preset on the table. That's
yes. Oh, it's a placeholder.
Yes. So literally,
holds all it does is it holds a place.
correct. So it's
and then you put something else, and then at the wedding it would be me. It would be me or whoever went in my place. I
yes.
got it. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Perfect.
But I still want to give you a visual representation. Let me see if I can get this to come up another way. See if we can just
Because if I could get people to just call me on the phone to make an appointment, I would personally be most happy with that.
Okay, so here's one example of a placeholder. I just put in a square bracket in all caps, I know, and I say insert 1 to 2 key themes. And so I have my
I got that.
and I have something built in my AI that, okay, I just tell it, okay, now we need to do this piece, and it's already got instructions on how to do it, as long as I give it all the supporting information. This image also here is technically a placeholder, because I know I need to replace it with that current month image. See, this is a placeholder for an image, and you can see all the articles, how everything's laid out, and I just, okay, I know exactly each article. There's 4 things I got to drop in. Each section I got to add the current month. So you can see it's just riddled with placeholders everywhere.
got it. And that makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah, and it saves so much time every month that you don't have to rebuild that newsletter every time. And it looks exactly the same every time, like you were saying, Linda, for comfort and
Well,
ease
I
of
think
your
actually
reader.
that was Nellie. Nellie
Oh,
really
Nellie.
liked that it
Yeah.
was familiar. And
Yes.
yes, I think familiarity makes for trust.
Yeah. And I will say this because yes, you could clone an existing one you've already sent, but then because you don't have placeholder, so how do you always remember what content needs to get replaced?
Right.
Excellent. Okay. So did we answer the question about story brand? I know you mentioned it briefly, but
Yes.
was that enough? It was
Yes.
enough. Okay.
Yeah, well, and then I know there was, I think someone had also asked a question about the GPT I mentioned, which,
Yes.
I'll be happy to kind of, share that, but I mean, explaining how to use it is going to be more than we have time for and not
Mhm.
really the point of this training, but um, let me just do this.
Well, when you refer to a GPT, this is one that you've created in order to do from a specific prompt in order to take specific actions, something like that. Is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? Okay,
Yes.
because see, I never work with specific ones like that. I have one that I've worked with that works with me since January. It's kind of like I call him my second in command kind of thing. And just recently, a lot of my friends keep saying, you have to understand, Linda, that is a machine. He is a machine. He's not your second in command. I'm going like, oh.
So essentially, when I say GPT, I was referring to custom GPT, but I just do that for short.
Some people go custom chat,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
I got it.
Mhm.
So I mean, think of it like almost like another avatar or agent who does a very specific task.
Yeah.
And this was one that was actually created by the marketing group that I work with. So you can see, even though it says brand script builder for MSPs, I'm going to show you a hack how you can take it out of that mode, and it'll just go back to a standard story brand framework. So let me see. I'm going to take this example, and what I'm going to put in here, it says, this is for a non-MSP. The business is a commercial roofing company serving Houston, Texas. And I'm just going to run this example here. And then if anyone wants to learn how to use this, I'll be happy. We can do like a one-on-one, or we can do, or read it if we want to do like a special session or something.
Oh, I love that.
Really
Yes.
walk people through. And so, because it's important to specify what kind of business it is and what location it is, and then it's automatically going to start going through some stuff. And so, because the reason it's kind of more customized because they've taken 100 branch, really solid branch scripts from my industry, and it's kind of what's integrated into this. But this is now saying, well, it can use this as a for the proven messaging patterns. So it's not going to use the exact same language, because that's the key. You want to be careful with this one because of how it's built, to not use the language if this is not your industry. So again, that's why I've, and got this very specific phrase here. And then it's going to start to go through. I'm not going to walk through anything else with this, but just to show you, okay, you can use this and you can basically tell it function in this way, and then you can use it for whatever you need to do.
Nice. Nice. Now, David, you built that on your account. Are you able to like share that with me or someone else, or sell it, or anything like
I
that?
can share it now. And I did not build this, so I'm not claiming this is my own. This is actually
Okay.
coming from a marketing company I work with, but they
Okay.
they created a whole bunch of custom GPTs for us to use for various things.
Okay.
But since this one is going to be very relevant, I think, for what anyone's trying to do, I'm more than happy to share this, as long as you understand that you've always got to put this very specific phrase in order to get it out of the mode it's built for.
Now, and by the way, when you said this, the business is a commercial roofing company serving Houston. Would that be my business or the business I'm trying to approach?
It's going to be your business because
Okay.
if we're because right now this, if you ran it stock as is without putting this in, it's going to write assuming you're a business in my industry.
Correct. Okay.
Is
Good.
MSP something that's special for you, or is that an abbreviation for something I would want to know what it means?
So MSP stands for Managed Service Provider. That's the term that my type of
Thank
business
you.
is called, but
Thank you.
outside the industry, it's not known. So I
So you
typically,
would say this is a non-MSP because you are not what he does. And then
Right.
you would say the business is a tax preparation service, you know,
Right.
wherever you are. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Now I understand.
although I will say, well, actually, no, you're just saying you're a non-MSP. And actually reading this, you're saying that your target is commercial roofing
Ah.
company.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Well,
Okay.
So you put
let
your
me,
target in there.
well, yeah, well, let me go back and compare to how it ran when I did it, so I can tell you exactly. But Rita,
Okay.
this is worth us doing at some point a special session on this,
Absolutely.
right? Their content, because I don't want to keep taking up
And
too much.
and that's content that would go in their emails, right?
Their emails, your website, any piece of marketing you put out, social media, everything.
I feel like we could do that very soon since we're currently talking about emails. So maybe next week.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
My other question is, you said this was originally created by some kind of another company that you work for, and they provided it to you and other people that are doing similar work on their behalf. And I'm thinking like maybe it shouldn't be shared with us. I mean, is it really okay, or is it really should only people get the use of it that are working for that particular overall? And I guess they would be a managed service provider, right?
Right. Well, so because you're putting it out there in the deal, in order for
It's
others,
assumed.
you have to make it publicly available. So anyone could search
Okay,
across
got
it.
it. Right, and people really would need to be careful about how they used it too.
Right.
So,
So I mean, again, you do want to be careful about using
right,
other GPTs people create because you don't know how they programmed it per se. In this
right,
case, because I know this comes from a trusted source, I've already used it extensively.
yes.
But thank you, Linda, for your ethical concern. That's what I heard.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I appreciate that too.
My father was a district attorney and my grandfather was a Supreme Court judge in New
Beautiful.
York State. So it's just
Ingrained.
and the dinner table conversation was Supreme
I
Court
can imagine.
decisions.
So I'll put it,
Killer.
so I'll put it in this framework. When you create a custom GPT, you have to actually choose, whether only you or anyone could use it.
Oh.
So the fact that obviously they make it where a lot of us can, it's now it's technically in the public domain on ChatGPT.
Well, you can show us how to make that choice when you do your chat lesson.
Okay, good. We're on. All right, so we have 10 more minutes. Is there any other golden nuggets you wanted to show us, David, or any other questions that people have today? And that they do not have to be about the subject that we were teaching about. It's just, we're here for you. Any questions you have about your systems?
No, those are my big golden nuggets because as you were talking, Rita, I was pulling up stuff like, oh, we're going to show this.
Yes, good.
So I will cede the floor to any questions.
All right. So I get questions from my clients and potential clients regularly all the time. And this whole thing about email sequences is it's kind of confounding for a lot of business owners, and about all the things I talked about, how often to send them, what to say, how to do this. One of the tips that I love to give a lot of businesses, especially if there's something like a coaching or consulting or service based, like Nellie, you're a tax preparer. You probably have maybe 4 or 5 pillars that you operate on. A lot of businesses, knowledge worker businesses operate that way on pillars or standards or things. So if you have a number of things that you live by or that you operate with in your business, that's a very simple segue into an email series. You could just write an email about each one of those. And so there's some launch jumping off points that are built right into a lot of our businesses that we don't see until someone points it out. If you, one of my favorites is when you do lead magnet, let's say, and a lead magnet is just simply something that you're giving away that is very helpful to your ideal audience, that's going to make them say, oh, I really need that. I want that. For example, Nellie, you could do a lead magnet that says 7 secrets to keep the IRS out of your pocket or something like that, right? And tons of people will want to know that, especially if you said for small business or something like that. They want that list of those 7 secrets. And as soon as they download that, your CRM will know that that person downloaded it, because they're going to have to give their name and their email before they can get it. As soon as you have their name and email, then you can say, hey, Bob, I'm so glad that you took that step to be safe and downloaded that 7 secrets to keep the IRS out of your pocket. I'm going to send you a short series of emails and explain everything in that checklist a little bit more in each one. It's nice to tell them what to expect. Remember, we covered that before. And then you just automatically have a series of 7 emails. You don't have to say, what would I say? You just expand on each one of those. And I'm not talking about a book. I'm talking about a, paragraph, a few sentences, as much as you feel like explains it without fire hosing people. But there's 7 emails in your series right away that you have automatically. Then after that, you can expand into some little known facts about tax, tax facts, that rhymes. So then it could help you segue into more nurture emails. But if you have any number of things, numbers in subject lines and numbers in titles on lead magnets really help people. They love numbers. They want to see, oh, it's finite. It is very specific. It's broken into pieces. So their brain says, I'm going to be able to process that, and I want that. So that's one question that I get from people a lot is, what do I say in my emails? How do I just decide that I'm going to start an email sequence, and what would I put in it?
Thank you.
Well, I know one of the things that I always have to go searching for every year, and I think with the AI this year, it's going to be is as a small business, and as an accountant working for other small businesses, we have to collect W-9 forms for people that we pay money to. And every year now, they change all the rules, and they just changed. We have the 1099 NECs and the 1099 something else. And
Miscellaneous.
which line is it? It's line 1 here, and it's line 5 here, and things like that. I would always want to get that information from somebody like yourself, Nellie, because
Thank you.
you would be required to be up to date on that. And I was like, oh, well, that's nice. She's sharing that information. She's not making me pay to get it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And a little known fact that I think is high selling point for you, Nellie, is that she has a history of being an IRS auditor. So she knows
Oh.
exactly what they're
So she
looking for.
knows what they're looking for.
That's right. That was her job.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
Thank
So
you.
now she's on our side.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
yes.
called what you call character development.
That's right.
Switching
Yeah,
sides.
well, I'm a person who hasn't filed taxes for, oh, I think it was 7 years I went. And I finally filed one, and now I owe them $1,800. And it's basically just what I owe them is my earned income, Social Security on the profit I made. And so it's not a lot of money, but I keep getting letters saying they're going to seize what I own, and I'm scared to death that they're going to see my Social Security will go in my bank account and they'll seize it. And so I don't know. But it's just kind of, I'm going along and trying to get them all filed. I have all the numbers. The thing that threw me off was I was using an app to keep my mileage. And so I didn't have the mileage ready to fill in to file the tax.
Mm.
Mhm.
One simple little cog in the wheel.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
So one other
Well,
thing I'll add, kind of what Rita was just saying a moment ago, like as you're starting to write your emails, and I like what you said about the, the numbered titles, because even AI, really likes that. Because, and this is something else that, we could probably work into a session somewhere, but how to be leveraging AI to be discovered as well. And there's certain things that can be tied into how you can do it using the CRM if you don't have something else. So there's some other little tidbits, tips and tricks there. But again, if we kind of going back to that story brand framework and creating your avatar and the brand script to use. So even if you're stuck with how do I write the content or what do I start with, if you've got that set and you feed that into your AI tool of choice and say, hey, I need to write talking to this person, and here's what I'm trying to do, it can then help you, brainstorm effectively based on, what are the pain points for your avatar. And then it can then help you craft your initial drafts.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We got a couple more minutes. If anyone thought of a question while we were doing all that talking in the last couple minutes, I'm so excited to have you all here and everyone watching and listening to the replay. We love doing this. And if you hear us say something and you would like for us to teach a whole session on that, just let us know in the comments, and then also look for that link in the comments where you can join the Automation Nation. And that, I'll give you that again, it's bit.ly. So it's bit.ly/join Automation Nation. And each one of those words has a capital letter. So I'll put that into the chat now. So you can click on that if you want.
And when are those office hours held?
Every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And that's starting in September, which is just another few days away. We're starting our office hours every week. I used to do them twice a month, and I just feel like I want to give even more value to everybody in the group. And so we're just going to do them weekly. So you can get that hand holding that you're looking for. And of course, members can always send me email questions as well outside of those hours.
Thank you.
I messed it up. Sometimes when I'm typing it, I put a space in and that messes up the whole thing. There we go. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm super excited about next week. We might do a special session on one of the subjects that came up today, and then we'll continue our series after that. Take care. Bye-bye.